So as we start to look at this, we start to see that there are some defining elements within this system. So as we look at this in depth, we see, how they start to break this down. Who is this market? So social fitness, okay, 17 to 35, motivation, friends, appearance. And then if you look down at all these other ones, you kind of have an understanding of what, and I'm going to have to blow these things up because I want you guys to see this. Okay? So if you look, you look at these things, these are some of the things that I had you guys trying to think about when you were doing your research. Like, what are keywords? Remember when we talked about that? What are keywords that demonstrate the target market for your system, your brand that you were developing? So they've broken it down, this particular one down into I think 4 different aspects. Social fitness is one, sports fitness is another, competitive athlete, and competitive youth. Okay? So under each one of those 4 topics, they break down here on the left side, age, for example, motivation, goal, measure, and then the music, what kind of music, and what's the wording that goes behind it. And then if you look at the bottom, it follows it up with the model, which is, as you guys all know, just do it. For this one, they change. This one is, for competitive athlete, there is no finish line. And for competitive youth, my sport is your sport's punishment. Okay. So what I'm getting at with that is just basically trying to show you guys that there is a great deal of research that goes behind developing a brand identity system. It's not only just developing the logo, but also developing a profile, developing some sort of information that tells you and helps you understand who your target market is. Okay, so now we're going to get into the visual elements, and I'll sort of skip through this a little bit and just make comments where needed. So we have visual elements under there, and we have photography, color, typography, and branding. Okay? So I think this is actually a pretty good category group. You guys should probably write this stuff down if you have pens or paper. So let's just go on the first one. The first one is photography. So for this visual center, what they did was they went out and found photography in each one of those 4 categories. So this is how they're focusing in on who their target market is and how they want to communicate to that target audience. So that's photography. I mean, they've even broken it down to the lighting. How does the light and the shadow hit? Is it a black and white image? Is it always a color image? What defines the brand? Okay? And they even have locations here. Now, you guys don't have to go through all of this, but I think it's a good exercise for you at least to understand the level of research that goes into this. and to see how they don't just say, okay, this is photography and this is all these different shots, but they're actually breaking down what type of photography they're looking for. So if you put all of those different things together, it starts to come together like this. So obviously color, we kind of already covered that, so I'm going to skip on that one. So typography. So if we look at this, they have Helvetica New 75 Bold defined as their typographic, their type choice. So if you look at the way that this typography is displayed, this is how they plan on using it for the system. So let's okay, so let's go back to that. So they've defined this as how the type is going to be used. Color, and the type size is all caps. So if you're looking at a branding system and anything related to this particular program, the type will be this color, will be in all caps, and it will probably run similar to this. As we look at the branding and how the logo is used, this is important for you because I guess you guys won't necessarily have different things to add to the logo, but this is a good way of being able to see how you have a primary logo and then use that primary logo and you add other attributes to that logo for whatever division you're working with. So for example, if you have for example Evergreen Life Ministries, right? And you design your logo for it, and within that company they have you know, ministries, drug abuse, teen parents, then maybe you have, you know, the logo, and then, you know, you have a part of that logo that will have, say, something that communicates or describes each one of those divisions. So the overall logo is for the overall company, but if there's a specific division that's within that organization, then you would use the logo, the primary logo, and then you would use something to complement that, similar to what you see here. So this is the primary, and this is the primary right here, and then they just added CHI for Chicago, NYC for New York, and XC for cross country. Alright, so I think this is the program. So we start to look at this, right? So they're incorporating the photography that we looked at. They're incorporating the typography here. And then they're incorporating the logo type that is communicating that particular city. So for example, this is in Chicago. So remember what we see here, we see Chicago, New York, cross country, all right? And this is the primary logo right here. So this is Chicago, this is Chicago. This type right here is the same type that we saw before. And it's defined in this visual center. New York City Marathon, okay? So here you see where they use slightly different photography, but it all sort of relates to the same thing because it has this lockup which says NYC, which means New York, and they're using the same type as before. Brand, it's all branding. cross country. Okay, so for cross country, the difference is that they're using only grayscale images. If you notice that, everything is black and white images here. So when you see that, you know that that is cross country. It differentiates from New York and Chicago because I believe here it's more almost about the person. Here it's about the person and the location. You see like the Brooklyn Bridge here. And you see the person here, same here. And then when you get here, these images are different because they're in black and white. And they're a little gritty. But we still have the same logo in the same type. And what do you notice about all of these? Like this one, and that one. Can somebody tell me? What is similar? That, this, and that. What do you notice? What do you notice is similar with all three of these different images? Say person? Yes, that's correct. What else? Is there more? Yeah, running is one of them, but they're not. Well, they're not running here. So what I'm more interested in, in looking at the, and I'll tell you guys for this one because you might not know, but if you notice on this one, that this logo and this type comes from the bottom up, and this is always in the same place, no matter what city. So if you go with that, it's still there. It's still there. So remember, branding, you have to have consistency. That is very, very, very important. Okay? Consistency. All right. So this is another Nike project, and this is for Nike Pro, which is for football. And this is another visual center, and the reason why I wanted to show you guys this is because I think this does a good job of sort of breaking down the primary mark, which is here, and then the logo. And then this even goes as far as showing the mark hierarchy. So this is the Nike logo, obviously. This Nike Pro is the primary Nike mark. And then this one is a seasonal Nike Pro mark. All right, cool. So if you look at this, the reason why I wanted to show you this is because this is a good way of showing you all the thought process behind developing these symbols, these marks, okay?